Squatch Ranger Radio.
They do exist, I do believe. The evidence adds to this mystery. Science insists to disbelieve. The skeptics are wrong, they underachieve. Conviction is close, a new attitude. Credence is near absurditude. Unlock the unknown, what shall we foresee? Knock on wood, unknown possibilities. They do exist, I do believe. The evidence adds to this mystery. Science insists to disbelieve. The skeptics are wrong, they underachieve. Conviction is close, a new attitude. Credence is near absurditude.
And welcome to the show, everybody. This is our very first episode of Squatch Ranger Radio. I am your host, Ryan. I am so excited to be launching this brand new show. It's going to be featured on my YouTube channel. You can always go to my YouTube channel, Squatch Ranger, and check out any new content I have. This is a new show I'm including on my YouTube channel. It's in the radio style format, but you'll only find it on YouTube. And the intent of the show is to have people call in or email me that want to share their Bigfoot or Sasquatch encounters or sightings that have happened in the Oklahoma area. I'd like to keep this local because I'm stationed in Oklahoma. Also, I'd like to include Missouri, Arkansas, Texas, New Mexico, even Kansas. If there's anybody out there who's had a Sasquatch encounter in Kansas, love to hear from you. I want to get people on here to share their stories and let people know that these encounters are happening in Oklahoma and the surrounding states. And this is a real thing. This is a real subject. And so this is kind of a local show. There's other national radio shows out there with lots of Bigfoot and Sasquatch encounters and sightings, and they're great shows. I enjoy listening to all of them. I've just decided to start a new show for myself. This is for fun. That's keeping it local. So if you'd like to contact me and be on the show and share your story, there are several ways. Probably the best way to contact me is by email. You can email me at squatchranger@gmail.com. You can also follow me on Facebook. That would be facebook.com/squatchranger. Please like my page, follow me. Also on Twitter, you can find me on Twitter, Squatch Ranger. You can follow me in those different ways also as well. And finally, I have a website I'd like to share with you. You can see what I'm all about on the website. That website is, it's kind of tricky, get your pens out, https://sites.google.com/site/the Squatch Ranger. It's kind of a mouthful there. Probably the easiest way I've found to get to my website is just go to Google and type in Squatch Ranger Club. And I will be in the first few choices that come up, that pop up when you do that Google search. Squatch Ranger Club. It'll say something like, why join the Squatch Ranger Club? And you can find my website very easily from there. So a little bit about myself. I'm a Bigfoot entertainer. I like to travel around and I actually dress up as Bigfoot and I perform at parties. Kids' birthday parties. I've done a bachelorette party. That was pretty fun. I've gone out in the woods and just done practical jokes on teenagers at a local camp out. I've done all kinds of events like that, different types of events. I like to perform, and I like to bring kind of a little bit of Bigfoot to people who enjoy the subject. I also am getting into going on expeditions, and just learning about Bigfoot and Sasquatch for myself. I grew up in a county in Oklahoma, northwest Oklahoma. According to the BFRO website, has 0 documented Bigfoot sightings, and there's good reason why there's 0 if you've ever traveled through that area. But I got into the subject of Bigfoot by watching Discovery Channel as a kid. I just happened to be channel surfing as a teen, and I found a documentary on Bigfoot, and I've been hooked ever since. So I'm just fascinated with different mysteries. I'm just that person. I like mysteries. I like the mystery of Bigfoot. I like the mystery of the Loch Ness Monster, aliens, ancient civilizations. All those things I've always enjoyed. That's just my interest. And recently, in past years, I've really locked into Bigfoot. I love Bigfoot. I love Sasquatch. I love the subject. And so now I'm trying to get people to come forward who have actually encountered Bigfoot. I do not have a sighting, but I might have a possible encounter, and that happened with a guide named Troy Hudson on one of his field expeditions. He's my first guest today on our very first episode of Squatch Ranger Radio. His name's Troy Hudson. I'd like to play that interview, that phone interview I had with him earlier this week. So here it is, the interview with Troy Hudson, Bigfoot researcher, tribal liaison, and field expedition guide, Troy Hudson. Here's the interview. Got a guest today. His name's Troy Hudson. Hi, Troy. How's it going?
Pretty good. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing very well. It's nice to have you on the show. Thanks for taking some time out to talk to me today.
Well, good. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem. Why don't you tell everybody kind of what your title is in this Bigfoot subject?
Well, I work at the Sasquatch Genome Project. I'm a tribal liaison for the DNA project that has been going on for the last, going on about 10 years. I'm also associated with the Honobia Bigfoot Conference and Festival. I'm one of the organizers. I lead the storytelling, handle some other functions there at the property of where it's held. And I'm also a member of the Native Oklahoma Bigfoot Research Organization that pretty much headquarters there out of Cole County.
All right, so you're a man of many hats when it comes to the subject of Bigfoot. You got a lot of different projects going on. I think that's great. All right, so the first little session here, first little segment, I'd like to talk about the Cole County Bigfoot Town Hall meeting that you had back on February 4th, I believe. You've been doing some Bigfoot town halls. You've been traveling around to communities and giving some Bigfoot town halls and kind of educating people on the subject. Why don't you give me a report of what happened at that Cole County Bigfoot Town Hall back in February?
Sure. The town hall was held in Colgate, Oklahoma, at the Colgate High School Auditorium on February 4th. It started at 6 p.m. We had people actually come from all over. When it came down to people standing up and talking, I was kind of surprised to learn that there was a young lady that actually traveled all the way from Arkansas to attend the town hall. We had some notable speakers. We had Lyle Blackburn there from Texas. He's well known for his book of the Boggy Creek Monster. He's been on a few episodes of Monster Quest and a few other shows related to cryptozoology. We had Marvin Leeper. He's a professor at Murray State College. He is an integral part of our group, and he's a good friend. He was on hand along with Jerry Henstadt as a field researcher also from Texas, which is been on a few episodes of Monster Quest himself. And then we had Jim Mordecai from the Creek Nation. He works there at the college. He's also a member of our organization. He's a field researcher and I wouldn't say, I'll say a specialist within the Creek Nation history of the Bigfoot and Tall Man, as what they call it. And, of course, we had myself and a few others.
About how many people were in attendance there?
I think there was close to about 33, 34. There were some people that came in, stayed for a little bit, and then left. I think it was a total about 30. I think about 33, 34 was the head count.
Okay, very good. Did you make any contacts of people to network with and talk to, and maybe you're going to go visit their properties and they had sightings or anything like that come of the meeting?
Yes, actually there was. There was a family, and then two young men had voiced their opinion about wanting to learn more, that they had some stuff going on at their property. They had seen some things, heard some things they weren't quite familiar with, didn't know exactly what they were dealing with, so our team will probably go visit them here probably when it starts to get a little bit warmer and the weather improves.
Okay, very cool. And real quick before we end this little segment here, do you have any other town halls that you know of that are coming up that maybe people could go check out if they were around that community?
We've actually been asked to do a number of town halls, one out in eastern Oklahoma and one in southern Oklahoma. Dates have not been set yet. Still have to have some negotiation with some of the people in the community about what time of the year they want to do the town hall. And what I'll do as soon as I find out dates and times, and I will forward that to you so you can tell everybody about them.
Yes, I'll definitely announce that on this show later on when you find out, and I'll relay it to the listeners. Very cool. I went to a town hall and saw you speak at Jay, Oklahoma, and I just want to tell everybody that the town halls are very interesting. Troy does a very good job, very informative, and I recommend going to a future town hall.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, that's going to wrap up this segment. We're going to come right back and talk about the Native Oklahoma Bigfoot Research Organization here on Squatch Ranger Radio. Okay, everybody, welcome back to Squatch Ranger Radio. I'm still here with Troy Hudson as our very first guest on our very first episode today. And in this segment, we'd like to touch on the Native Oklahoma Bigfoot Research Organization. They're kind of a new group that's kind of popped up on the scene here in Oklahoma. And Troy, how did you come up with this name?
Well, the name holds many... has a lot of meaning to the people involved in the organization. A great number of our people in our organization are Native. They come from various different tribal backgrounds, but the majority is Choctaw. And there was a promotional item that the Choctaw Nation was selling in their stores, the Choctaw Bigfoot Research Team, and a lot of people associated that with myself and a few others, thinking that that was part of our organization. And we had solicited from the Choctaw Nation about acquiring to use that name, but we also felt that would limit some of the ideas that some people had would be strictly a Choctaw. Well, a great number of people in our organizations come from other tribes, as I said before, and we kind of kicked it around. We wanted to have the name Oklahoma in it because we're pretty much all from Oklahoma. And the majority of our interests, the majority of our research areas are strictly in Oklahoma. So we just came up with how the state is recognized by saying Native Oklahoman. So we decided to come up with the Native Oklahoma Bigfoot Research Organization. And that's kind of how that name came to be.
All right, very, very interesting. Thank you for sharing that. Also, I want to ask about this organization. Can you tell me some of the members involved? Can you tell me what they specialize in? Can you tell me or share any of that kind of information?
Yes. Actually, we have the creation, like any other organization. We're going to be filing for our 501c, our nonprofit, because we will be involved in raising money for different community programs, school scholarships, similar to the Honobia Bigfoot Scholarship Program over in the southeast part of Oklahoma. We'll also be involved in different community events and organizations. You know, we're not strictly just a Bigfoot solo, or I don't know the word I'm trying to find. We're not strictly bent on everything Bigfoot. I mean, we're involved in the community, so we'll have our hands in various other programs. Some of the people in the group, like I said, we have a gentleman that works at the Creek Nation. He's got an extensive field researcher resume that's kind of hard to touch. He's been involved in it for more than 10 years. He just happens to be from the same town I'm from. We happen to know each other from our school days. Then we have a couple people that live up in Tulsa. They've come on some of our expeditions and decided that they would like to get more involved, and they've come repeatedly, so they're getting the experience. We will be kind of regionalized. We'll have people, like I said, that will be living in Tulsa. They'll be part of our organization. We have a young lady who lives out in western Oklahoma. She'll handle some of the things out in western Oklahoma. And some of our people have various backgrounds. Some are in law enforcement. Some have backgrounds in search and rescue, wilderness survival. So there's a lot of vast knowledge of outdoor expertise. We have a gentleman that is, he has an extensive background in tracking. So not just for the fact that he will be tracking anything, it's just the fact that his outdoor experience is what they call outdoor forensics is very important. Kind of an attention to detail aspect of it. And of course, we have everybody else. We have, pastors, preachers, and we have school teachers. It's kind of a different variety of people.
Okay. That's. I think that's excellent to have the variety of backgrounds, and you come together and you try to research the subject, and I think that's great. Something else, I think we were talking off air earlier about it, and I want to mention or ask you about this Native Oklahoma Bigfoot Research Organization. Are they going to travel to different locations and do some kind of remote Bigfoot town hall meetings?
Yes. What the purpose of the investigative branch of the organization is pretty much when we get a call, or any one of our team members get an inquiry from residents out in rural areas that have repeated activity or suspected repeated activity, what we will do is we will go out and do like a normal investigative interview. We'll do a site investigation, a site survey, assess the area, assess what's going on. And if the landowners or the people living at the home request a overnight investigation or a long-term investigation, we will set up expedition either on the property or near the property, adjoining, depending on how many other people in the community is involved. Like we have a couple communities that pretty much the whole community is involved, and they've been requesting us to come up and do investigations within their area. So they are planned. Don't know some dates yet. Of course, locations would have to remain confidential because the community members and leaders do not like to have a lot of media attention, and plus there's a lot of people that try to go out and cause trouble to the investigation that like
Right.
to interfere, if you will, in the aspect of it. So
Yes, I got you. One final thing before we wrap up this segment. How would someone that's listening right now and they're hearing about this Native Oklahoma Bigfoot Research Organization, how would they get a hold of you and contact you if they wanted to talk to you about coming to visit their property?
Okay. I have an email address, and we just created our email, and I will have to get it to you so you can have it. Cause I don't want to give it to you out of error.
Okay.
I'll provide it to you here by the end of the show, and then that way you can provide that. They just email that email address, and myself or one of the other investigators will contact them. And, of course, there'll be a number of questions that will be asked to, give validity to the situation. We sometimes have a few people that send emails as far of a humorous way of a joke, or I don't know, but so.
Well, hopefully none of those people are going to be listening to this program.
As long as I've been in this, back when I was with BFRO for a number of years, and you pretty much get the majority of people that are serious, that are legitimate, but then you have very few people that decide one night to scratch that itch on one to have some fun. So sometimes you do get people that like to play around with it. It's like anything else, any other type of topic. There's always going to be someone that's looking for humor in it. So.
Okay, so the best way to contact you folks is to email Troy Hudson, and I'm going to provide his email probably at the end of the show, or I'll have it projected on the screen on the YouTube broadcast. So email Troy Hudson if you are interested in him and his team coming to investigate. All right, we're going to wrap up this segment, and we'll come right back. Troy, thanks for sticking around.
Thank you.
And we are back for our final segment on Squatch Ranger Radio, our very first episode. And on this very first episode, we've got our very first guest, Troy Hudson, and he's going to talk about two final topics for us today. The first one we're going to touch on is the Kiamichi Mountains Adventures. What are those, Troy? What are the Kiamichi Mountains Adventures?
It's basically Bigfoot expeditions. Been doing them for a number of years. Started back in the days when I was with BFRO. Led the Oklahoma, Texas, Arkansas expeditions from about 2006 till about 2009 when I left the BFRO. Was doing the expeditions more of taking friends out, friends of friends, friends inviting other friends. And then it just boiled down into basically people hearing about it, being on other radio shows, hearing about the expeditions, would contact me, and then me and a couple other friends decided that, we could probably do this a little bit more organized. So we organized a better way of doing expeditions, pretty much similar to how the BFRO, but at that time we're not charging. Everything was coming out of our pocket. All the money was coming out of ours. Some of the properties that we had to go to, we'd have to rent cabins for the number of people that was coming to stay. Some people did not want to camp outside, so we had to have the amenities to provide for everybody. Then I think it was about 2013 we decided that, you know what, it's getting too expensive. We're going to have to actually start charging, because we actually started getting people from out of the state of Oklahoma and out of the state of Texas that were actually coming. And then through the Sasquatch Genome Project, I was getting people that was coming over from the different countries to come on the expedition. So we've actually provided expeditions for people from Sweden and from Norway and from Canada. We've had one person from Germany. Most of our people come from the lower 48, the North America area, and we have tried to keep a count, because I was asked one day just how many people have I taken out into the woods, and I think about it, going back to all my notes, and that was one thing of kind of being a law enforcement officer. I keep copious amount of notes and investigative files. About a year and a half ago, we were in the neighborhood, give or take, probably around 800 people that we've taken out into the woods. So
wow, that's a lot.
We were thinking, it's got to have a name. Again, people ask, well, what's the name of your group, or what's the name of the expeditions? Well, it's in the Kiamichi Mountains. It's an adventure. Most everybody calls it an adventure. Some of the things that they see, hear, and do. So I just thought, why don't we call it the Kiamichi Mountains Adventures? So that's where that name came out of. The word Bigfoot didn't go in there because, we know expeditions in this topic is synonymous with Bigfoot, so we just decided to keep it straight with the Kiamichi Mountains Adventures. Because if ever one day we decided that we weren't doing the Bigfoot thing, we would still have the title of just doing adventures, taking people on four-wheel rides. We have a group of men that come from western Oklahoma. They've been on 3 of the expeditions, and sometimes their is just to get out with each other and have, camaraderie and friendship and fellowship, and the Bigfoot just adds to it. So sometimes their purpose isn't just to come see a Bigfoot, but what they see and hear is extra to their adventure. So.
And I want to add to that, for the listeners, I've been on these Kiamichi Mountain Adventures twice. I've been on 2 of them. And yes, the four-wheeler riding is like a bonus. It is so cool. It is so awesome to get up on those trails and ride around, and it is super fun. And I think that's neat. And I did not realize that it was an international expedition, and you had people from across the globe. So that is very cool. I'm learning something today. Also about the Kiamichi Mountain Adventures, I think I kind of tried to ask this earlier, and I was asking about the wrong topic. But you are thinking about making these adventures remote and going to other places for your adventures, or am I off here?
No, you are correct. I've had a few people that have come on the expedition before, because we provide basically some of the expeditions you go on in different organizations. The different Bigfoot research groups have expeditions all over the country. Sometimes we just camp out, try to go to a state park, camp out. Pretty much you're in a primitive manner. Sometimes which limits people. Some of the people that like to go on those expeditions sometimes have a physical limitation or a handicap, i.e. being a wheelchair, and unable to go on some of those types of expeditions. Ours, pretty much, we have dormitories, we have cabins, we have places that people can stay. They can go out and run around the woods, and then they can come back and take a shower and then lay in a nice warm bed. So that's one of the different things that we have that we provide in our expeditions, is some of the amenities that we have. Plus, we provide the food. On Saturday, we cook for everybody. But one of the things that I've been asked about is, hey, how about one of those ones where we just put our stuff in the backpack and go hike up in the woods? Well, we've done that before privately with just us and just guys in our group. So we're looking at probably providing a remote 4-day, 4-night trip that we actually pack everybody into a 4x4 vehicle and take them back up into a remote part and then hike up into an area where I know the activity is pretty much going to be consistent. One of the things that is going to be a little bit of a requirement, or I guess it would be a restriction to the people that would come, is the area that we're looking at, or some of the areas we're looking at, is so remote and it's so treacherous because of the terrain. It's going to, somebody's going to be needing to have some outdoor experience. They don't have to be athletic, but they need to be able to, hike with a pack on for an unlimited amount of time and stay out overnight in an area where there is no cell service, so no electric, no water, no. It's just remote. So.
Now that sounds very, very cool and very fun to me, and I think I'm going to try to go on one of those here in the future with you if possible. That sounds pretty cool. That's got my interest. Okay, so let's wrap this up real quick because we're kind of running out of time here. Can you tell me any highlights from this past Kiamichi Mountains Adventures season? Any highlights or anything that you saw out in the field or anything that was interesting that had to do with Bigfoot?
Well, I'm just so blown away with our expeditions. I'm not trying to. I'm trying to be a third person here, talk from the outside. I'm not trying to just make all of our heads look big that we do the best. But one of the things that we got in our expeditions compared to everybody else is the testimony of the people that come on these expeditions. A gentleman that just did a YouTube video here recently named Travis has explained his experience on one of our expeditions, and we have every trip that we have, there's at least one person that has a story that walks away with them being pretty much when they came in, they were riding the fence or a non-believer or kind of believing, and they left 100%, just no doubt, I'm going to come back next year. So one of the things, we don't take people in there and point something out. You yourself has been on them. Most of the time, these people are seeing them for themselves. They're the ones that usually looking up and saying, whoa, what was that? Or what's that over there? So one of the things, I don't know what it is with the Honobia area and the Bigfoot Snows area, but they must apparently are attracted to the way we do our expeditions because we have results. And, very few expeditions can say that. That's just one of the things about tooting that horn, that we get results. And you've been on them, so you have your own testimony too.
Yes, sir. Yes. And I've got a video also, and I might post my link to my video about a whole weekend that we did, and I'm probably going to post a link of you mentioned Travis in that video. I just saw that probably last week when it came out, so I'm probably going to post that link for everybody to go to and visit and watch also. I'll post that during the YouTube broadcast. Okay, one final thing about the Kiamichi Mountains Adventures. How do they contact you? Do you have a different email that you know off the top of your head?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
All right. It is HONOBIAOKLACHITO@gmail.com, and it basically spells out Honobia Oklachito at gmail.com, and that is a phrase that we've used. It's all Choctaw. It's all Choctaw words.
Okay, very cool. So the listeners, if you are interested in these adventures, that's what you go to, Honobia Oklachito at gmail.com. Okay, last thing, Troy, and then we got to get out of here and wrap up our very first episode. Just real quick, your thoughts on the upcoming Honobia Bigfoot Festival and Conference in the fall, any announcements, any thoughts on it, any things that are changing? What can you tell us about that upcoming conference?
Well, we're going to try to do a better, let me rephrase. We're going to try to beat last year's. Last year, we actually went over the 4,000 people mark for the entire weekend. At one time, the Choctaw Nation Bigfoot 5K run used to be held at Christ 40 Acre, used to be held in conjunction with the conference. This year, it was brought back, and they revisited what's the words I'm trying to find, but basically they came back and held it at Christ 40 Acres last year during our conference with just over 800 people in the 5K run. It's getting bigger and bigger every year. Of course, one of the travel magazines voted it the #1 Bigfoot conference and festival in the country, so we're proud of that. This year, man, I haven't seen the speaker list yet, but I'm pretty sure that some of the other organizers are working on some speakers to just, how can you improve on perfection? Again, I'm tooting the horn again, but if anybody's ever been to the Honobia Bigfoot Conference, you can understand that it's one of the best in the country. So, of course, Friday night storytelling. We're looking at probably doing a little bit different format with storytelling. A lot of people come, they just want to sit and listen. We try to get people up to tell their stories. A few people do, but, majority of people just come to hear the stories. We have people actually just come to storytelling. They don't even come to the conference or festival. They drive all the way over just to do the storytelling. So that's a very integral part of the conference and festival.
All right. Well, I want to thank you, Troy, for coming on to the show. If anybody wants to go to the Honobia Bigfoot Festival and Conference, it's usually around the first full weekend of October, and we will provide the exact date on a later episode because we were going back and forth on when we thought the date was, and we don't want to tell anybody wrong and inform you wrong, so we will announce that on a later episode.
Actually, you can probably, I haven't really looked on the website lately, but if you go to www.honobiabigfoot.com, that's the website for the conference festival, and they may already have the date up there, so I'm pretty sure they do.
Perfect. Honobia HonobiaBigfoot.com?
Yes.
HonobiaBigfoot.com. All right. Well, Troy, thanks for coming on the show, man. It's good to have you.
Well, I appreciate it, and I'm looking for you on our next expedition.
Okay, and I'm sure you're going to be back on here sometime in the future also as well.
Yeah, we've had some pretty good reports lately. We have some investigations that I'm pretty sure you'd like to hear.
Oh, definitely. All right, thanks again, Troy, and we'll see you later.
All right, thanks, sir. Bye.
They do exist, I do believe. The evidence adds to this mystery. Science insists to disbelieve. The skeptics are wrong, they underachieve. Conviction is close, a new attitude. Credence is near absurditude. Unlike the unknown, what shall we foresee? Knock on wood, unknown possibilities. They do exist, I do believe. The evidence adds to this mystery. Science insists to disbelieve. The skeptics are wrong, they underachieve. Conviction is close, a new attitude. Credence is near absurditude.